This squash I've already had. I always do mine in the microwave. There's several different ways of cooking squash. If you're interested in fast and quick, use the microwave method. So to do it in the microwave, you have to really prick it a lot, like take a knife and put pretty deep scores in it. You don't want it to explode in your microwave. Have you ever had a potato explode in your microwave? I have. It's not a pretty sight.
No, and it's not fun to clean either. So.
And your squash is bigger, it's going to make a bigger mess. So the idea of pricking it is so that the steam inside that builds up as you heat it up has a chance to escape. And if you don't give it a way to escape, it's going to explode on you. So I've already pricked this one, and it's already been in the microwave for 5 minutes. So that's all. The reason for doing that is to soften the skin, because these have quite a thick skin that is very, very hard to cut through. So this one has gotten fairly tender. So I'm going to cut it in half. And because the skin is softened, it's fairly easy to do. So inside it looks sort of similar to what a pumpkin does. So if you see, it's got all kinds of seeds and stringy stuff. So you're going to take a spoon and you're going to spoon that out. Now these seeds, you can keep the seeds and roast them, season them and roast them, just like eating pumpkin seeds. So if you like pumpkin seeds, you'll like these. So a nice second benefit from having it for a meal. And it's kind of squishy, sloppy doing this.
And it's very hot when you
And
cut
it's
it
hot.
up. So, sometimes you actually, if you're going to handle it, you might want to have an oven that's on.
These have been sitting for a while, so they're okay in my hand. Inside. Now I'm going to put it cut side down. And this one's a little bigger. Now this is when you add a little bit of water in the bottom so that it stays moist. You don't want it to dry out. So I just need about 1/2 inch of water. Cover it with saran wrap just to keep the moisture in. So it's going to cook without drying out on us.
Please make sure it's saran wrap you're putting in the microwave, not tin foil. Some people don't know
Yes.
that tin foil can't go in the microwave. Honest to goodness, you do not want it in your microwave.
Now, when you're doing it in the oven, you do use aluminum foil, tin foil, because the oven temperatures, your saran wrap's just going to melt on you. So if you're doing it in the oven, what they say to do is tent it. So you're not going to put it down tight. You're just going to make a tent over top of it. So I'm going to put this in the microwave for 15 minutes. And that should make it tender enough that we can shred it.
So basically, when you start any kind of tomato sauce, whether you're using it for spaghetti squash, or even if you're making a base for a soup, you're basically going to use onions and garlic probably. So we're just going to dice up some onions and finely chop some garlic. So I'm just dicing the onion, so I'm basically just slicing it one way and then chopping it the other. I get the pan with the oil. I let it heat up a little bit so that the onions will start to cook right away.
White pasta.
Yes, so much better for you than white pasta. Okay, so we're just going to let that cook for a couple minutes. it's basically ground tomatoes with the water taken out. That's why it's really thick. So it's what we're gonna use to thicken our sauce. It's the easiest thing to use. If you don't have it, you can thicken your sauce with flour and water like you would for soup. It's just a little bit trickier sometimes, so this is easier.
That might be too much too. I don't know. Like putting in
6 ounces. No, that's about double. This is 13, so we're gonna see how thick it is. I don't know if you can see that.
like a really thick
Like it
paste.
just sticks to the spoon. It loses its flavor. So you get the initial burst of flavor when you put seasoning into something, but people tend to think that when you simmer something with seasoning in it that you're getting more flavor, but not from seasonings, you're not. So you get the initial reaction it has to the vegetables or whatever you're putting it in, and then it dissipates. So if you want to be able to taste it, you're going to put some in at the end too. That is different with fresh stuff. That's only with dried herbs. That's why they say they lose their potency after being. This is oregano. Yeah, so the recipe calls for oregano or basil or whatever you have for pasta, like a tomato sauce. Any kind of Italian seasoning will be fine. So if you have an Italian seasoning mix, you throw that in there. What else is in Italian seasoning? Taste buds call for, and it tells me that I want a half a teaspoon. So I'm gonna put 2 in because tomatoes.
Yes.
Because it does the same thing.
Well,
Yeah,
it cuts the
this is what
acidity.
cuts the tartness of the tomato. Of the tomato too. But today we'll go with the recipe and put the sugar in, and then we need just a little bit of salt. Make sure I'm on the shaker. It gets stuck in there, so I'll try and pour it out.
Probably picks up the moisture.
It's a little warm in here. Oh, maybe not quite that much. There we go. Okay, so now we're just gonna let that cook for a few
I
minutes.
did up earlier, and they've already started to string up on us. So if you look, now what I'm going to do is take a fork, and I'm just going to scrape it right down to the raw.